Well, good afternoon, everyone. And I just want to welcome everybody and say right off the bat, thank you for taking your time to tune in this afternoon for a very special Live with Sandra V episode. And I would like all of you right off the bat to please go ahead and share this out because not only does it affect our local communities, but it affects it across the globe. Most of you already know me. My name is Sandra Van Sickle, and tonight I am joined here by Jaime Sloan-McCarthy. Now, Jamie is the daughter of Sam Sloan, and he is a very well known and loved man within our industry. So, welcome, Jamie. It's really great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm really glad that we could do this and make this work.
Yeah. Now, I want to say that I usually begin my broadcast by saying that it's my goal to inspire, educate, and promote others who share my same vision. But tonight, I have to, or this, it's tonight, isn't it? I am the one who's inspired, by the outpouring of generosity by you and all the others out there willing to come forward to help, with a great need that we have. And I said, like I said, not only is it local in our communities, but it's across, the U.S. And after watching last night's nightly news and hearing about this the shortage of the face mask in Boston of all things, and then I received this call from Julie Coleman saying that I needed to speak to Jamie, Sam Sloan's daughter, and of all things, she's in the Boston area. So at that point, I really knew that it was time to act and to get our industry involved in this. But I want to let everyone know that I want to be clear right off the bat that Jamie nor I are experts in the medical field. And we realize that the masks that we make are not the N95 medical grade that those on the front line so desperately need. But what we do know is that the ones we make can be used as a barrier for those who are asking for them. And as we'll be talking here in a little bit, we'll and soon we're finding out how many will be in use. And so again, we know that we have a large community here in our industry that's willing to help. So, Jamie,
Yes.
before we begin talking about the N95 mask and the materials that we can use and who needs the mask, and we'll be doing our best to answer some of the questions that all of you have out there. But Jamie, I really want them. I really like for you to share how you got involved in all of this.
Sure. So, social media, as many of you know, is an incredibly powerful tool. I'm a business owner in North Andover. I own a women's clothing boutique that's been closed for the last week, I want to say at this point. I had to make that difficult decision along with many other fellow business owners.
Jamie, hold on one second. Can everybody hear me? A lot of people are saying that there's no sound. And let me just text them. Okay. But you all let me know there's a little delay, and I want to make sure that you all can hear me. Um, helps, doesn't it? Okay, let me make sure here.
Oh,
Can they hear me now?
oh, I can't hear you now.
Okay, you can't hear me now. Okay. Okay. All right.
I can hear you now.
Okay, people are saying they hear. Okay. I had some audio problems earlier today, so it's one of those days.
I know it is.
Okay, everybody can hear. Okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt you,
Everyone's
but
good. Everyone can hear.
I
Okay.
think so. Okay, go for it.
So as I was saying, I'm a small business owner. I own a women's clothing boutique in North Andover, Massachusetts. I made the decision to close my business last week, along with many other business owners. It was not an easy decision to make, but I'm actively involved in a lot of the groups on social media. And there was a post that was put up and was brought to my attention. There was a BU student, I believe her father is either on the board or is a doctor at Leahy in Burlington. And she had put out a post. She was looking for 2 to 3 individuals to come and to sew masks for the hospital because they were having a shortage. So I did reach out to her. I did not hear back, but it immediately triggered in my brain. This is kind of a funny and crazy thing at the same time, and definitely something where we know people that can help to do this. Of all people, I know my dad is somebody many of you know and love and have worked with, and he has a vast network of individuals in the sewing industry, whether it's, um, needing more heavy duty industrial equipment, or for many of you that work in workrooms or that just sew, at home on your own and have your own businesses. So I called him and said, you know what, we need to put this out there and we need to see who's available, because there is definitely a need. We'd been watching the news as well. So we started combing our network, and I was able to get 1,000 masks and just over 40 bodysuits that I've delivered locally to nurses. And I had put it out on our social media groups for Andover and North Andover. And I have to tell you, the response has been astounding. I'm still getting responses. Do you still have masks? Are there still masks available? The need is really incredible. And it's not just for nurses in the hospitals, it's also for nurses in clinics. It's for people that are undergoing chemotherapy. It's for people that have children with severe allergies that they're worried about. There are no masks in the stores. So it's really quite an epidemic. And as far as just being short and having these incredible shortages of this type of supplies.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. It's just, it is really incredible, how everything's playing out. And hang on one second. Some people still say they can't hear us.
Oh no.
I know. I don't know what it is. Some people can't. And I think Jill said she switched to her. She said switched to her PC. So let me just. And I'm Sharon. If you see those, Sharon Gregory is my friend. If you see those comments coming in, could you just
Let me check.
yeah, let everyone maybe if they switch to a PC, because I've tried on my okay. And Janet said, all right, thank you, Janet. Yeah, go out and go over to my Live with Sandra V page and click in there. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And people can hear on their phone. All right. I don't know
Okay.
what the glitch is. Oh,
Good.
good. Good, good.
Awesome. Yep.
We're good. Okay. That's what
Awesome.
Janet said. All right. Thank you, Janet. Yeah, go back, go
Okay.
out.
Oh, all right. Oh,
Okay, good, good, good. We're good.
good. Okay.
All right, sorry.
Good.
We'll get on with it.
We will. We will.
Well, that I kind of forgot where we were, but yes, it is. I'm so glad that you did get involved, and it just was like I said, timing of how it all played out. Because last night, listening on the nightly news, and many of you may have heard it too, about the shortage of masks, and that if that continued, that they were going to be saying to their staff that they're going to have to resort to scarves and even bandanas. And I thought, oh my gosh, if it's that bad, why can't we make these? Why will they not, accept what we can make? So we're going to go through a few things here for all of you, and hopefully be able to answer some of the questions, just so it's clear what you all can do and where can these masks be sent, and even open it up to other than the hospitals, the medical facilities. Who else can use these masks? Okay, so Jamie, I want to begin talking about the N95 mask.
Sure.
What makes it different from, like, say, the surgical mask, or maybe even the mask that we might be producing?
So the N95 masks are a very specific fitted mask. For those of you who've seen it, it's fitted over the bridge of the mouth, and it forms very tightly to the face as a barrier. Um, some people do use them as well for commercial painting jobs for fumes. But the mask itself, it's really about it is an industrial mask, and that's the purpose of it. So as far as really creating that barrier, hospitals are using those, and then in addition to that, they have the surgical masks. So where these masks would be helpful, right now, as you mentioned, the CDC has lifted some of their restrictions as far as what is allowed in clinics. Now, there are certain hospitals They do have supplies of the N95 masks and of surgical masks. The reason for this shortage is the supply chains have been disrupted for them to get a lot of these industrial grade masks, and they're saving them for the COVID floors. They're saving them for people who need surgery and in these areas of need where they have to have a commercial grade mask because of infection, because of what they're working with in those areas. There are a lot of nurses right now, and especially in our local hospitals that I was able to speak with, right now they're being given 1 or 2 paper masks for the day. And typically, under normal circumstances, they would be discarding these masks after each patient that they see. And the reason why this is such an issue for them is as they're dealing with patients throughout the day, depending where they are in the hospital, they are exposed to fluids of all kinds. They are exposed to, people who, let's say, they're sneezing or coughing. They're coming in contact, and sometimes very close contact, with any type of patient that's coming through the door. There was actually a doctor from Mass General who was just on the news, and he was saying every patient now is a concern to him that comes through the doors. It's not just the patients with COVID. It's not just the patients, that have these suppressed immune systems. It's really anybody that could come in and risk infection. So a lot of the nurses that I've spoken with, especially over the last couple of days, have said really anything is very much appreciated. One of the gentlemen, just to show you how powerful social media is, I was in a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot last night giving masks to a gentleman that is a higher up at Brigham and Women's Hospital. He had been tagged from my post in our little local group. He lives in Andover, and we met at the Dunkin' Donuts, and he had said to me, anything that you can, send our way or even to the local hospitals is greatly appreciated. The shortage is real. There is a need for these. And unfortunately, at this point, especially in the Boston area, they are being told to reuse these masks. So for any of you who know nurses or who've been in situations where you've, had contact with the medical system, that this isn't an ideal situation for what we're all currently going through. So the need for these masks is real. And some of the doctors have already resorted to, and one of them was on the news this evening. He said he has a mask. It's a cloth mask. It goes in a bucket in his garage at the end of the night with his scrubs. It goes into bleach. It doesn't even go in the house. And he's been bringing that in addition to using the masks. So I know it's an old school way of, creating a barrier, but cloth masks have been used in medical history. And so there definitely is a place for them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and because like you said that those masks are, they're sealed basically, like around the nose and around the face. And even I think when they put them on, they've got to be sealed every single time because they filter out 95% of the airborne particles, including, large and small particles. And like you said, ideally they should be discarded after each use, or if they become damaged or the seal is broken or whatever, or contaminated with blood and bodily fluids. And again, obviously, we cannot produce that type. But there was one a person out here, Lynn Owen, and I hope I pronounce your last name right, the Pote, and she has produced a mask that is so similar to it. And I've actually posted her a link to her video that she made within the new Facebook group, Make Face Mask. So thank you, Lynn, for that, because it really, like I said, has the different layers to it. And so for all of you that want to look at that, please do. But again, the important thing is, even though we can't produce that, there's still a need, and they will take, but I guess my thought is too, if we can produce what we can, the N95 mask can be saved for the absolute frontline, staff that need it.
I know, I'm sure some people are going to ask, because I know the president did put in an executive order to have supplies made because of the situation that we're in. And the reality of that is, yes, there are supplies that are going to be expedited. The issue with manufacturing these medical grade products is that a lot of our manufacturing for the United States is not done in the United States. So any of these products that will be expedited are still in either in non-existent supply or are going to take a few weeks to have them available. Then it's going to be a logistics issue to figure out where the greatest need for these products is and then get them there. So whether it's military supplies that they're going to be moving around the globe, or, just shipping things in. A lot of our products, and I know this from owning a store, a lot of them come from China, and they do come from, Asian countries. A lot of medical products do come from there. And right now it's really a challenge to get these things into the country. Even if they're coming from Europe, it's still going to take time. And if anyone's been watching, New York is already posting within 2 to 3 weeks, they're going to have massive shortages of medical equipment. So there is definitely a need. Additionally, as Sandra's been saying, we're not medical professionals, but anything that we do provide to a hospital, they're going to use their discretion as far as where it needs to go and how to clean it and to get it to the right place to the right people. So even if we can help them conserve the N95 masks and their surgical mask supply, and at least help them, get a little more life out of what they do have, that would be a big help for people who are working in some of these other areas that they're trying to set up for patients that are ready to be almost discharged from the hospitals, or even people working in, oncology, people who are working with seniors, people who are working with sick children. There's a huge need for all of those nurses as well. I've been getting a lot of requests from people that are either cancer patients or that are oncology nurses, and also pediatric nurses, because those clinics are very short in supply as far as what they have. So anything that could go even to those people would be greatly appreciated. And a lot of the nurses who do work even in senior centers or senior care facilities, social distancing really isn't possible for them, because a lot of them have to bathe patients. They have to help them get dressed. They have to help them with their mobility, even if they're just staying within their quarters. So those masks, even for those workers, are imperative because of just the population that they're working with and their vulnerability, and also the fact that they really can't keep 6 feet of distance between themselves and the people that they're caring for.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's safe to say that if we can create or fabricate masks that do kind of, fit that need, if we're not going to get it to where it's sealed, but if we can get the one that is close to that, the N95 or what it does, I think that would probably be best. But if not, I think that the surgical type mask also would work well. Would you agree?
I would agree. Statistically, I'd been sent an email of the types of fabrics that they had mentioned, and I know we're going to get to this as well.
That's next. That's, and
Yeah,
that you can talk
but
about that. Yeah.
at least with the fabrics that most of us have available, like cotton, for example, a cotton mask is still going to be 60% effective against COVID
Yeah.
versus them using a handkerchief, which could be 30 to 50% effective, or just a scarf. So even just a cotton mask, um, even if it's being used behind another mask as just a protective barrier, is going to make a huge difference for somebody versus having even less of a barrier and is more susceptible to exposure. One of the things that alarmed me so much yesterday, with the messages that I got in regarding the masks, I had one woman who reached out to me from a local hospital in Lowell, and she asked me for one of the boxes of masks, and I asked her if she could meet with me. And later in the day, she had told me, I can't come meet with you. I'm symptomatic. They didn't do a test, but they sent me home. I have to be on quarantine for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to see if I have a friend who can come get the masks from you. And this was concerning for a couple of reasons. One, she didn't get a test. They sent her home. They didn't have enough equipment for her to wear in the facility to prevent her from getting whatever symptoms she had. And additionally, this is someone who's trained as a medical professional who's now going to be home for a period of time in quarantine and is no longer able to assist somebody that needs help.
Yeah.
And that to me was really striking that, you know, we have to take into consideration, even if we're giving, some level of a fighting chance to someone, if we can even help, prevent their exposure,
Right.
even a little bit, it at least keeps them in the game. Because one of the concerns in Boston is just the turnover rate in the hospital beds. They know there's a shortage of equipment. There's only so many ventilators. There's only so many patients the facilities can handle at a time. And we have probably the most hospitals in the country concentrated in our city here. So for them to be concerned in Boston, I can only imagine in regional clinics or smaller clinics where they don't necessarily have the same level of concentration of staff and backup plans to backup plans to backup plans like they do here. I do know from people that I've spoken with, they are trying to set up, basically field hospitals in other parts of the city to take some of the people who are well but not well enough to be out of care, to move them out of the hospitals, to make sure that the hospital, if they need it in a full ICU capacity, that they can offer that to support the number of patients coming through the door. But if the medical professionals, we have a lot of them here, but in other places they might not have, the B team and the C team and the D team that
Exactly.
can step in.
Yeah.
And it is a 2-week, quarantine for anyone who shows symptoms, whether they get a test or not, to confirm that they have it.
Well, let's talk about some of the materials that they can use.
Sure.
We've got some questions out there about that. And,
Sure.
and you and I talked earlier, and, the cottons are great, but even the hypoallergenic fabrics are wonderful. And they, you can,
I'm pulling it up now.
okay, yeah, yeah, because that fabric, you can even, I think, go out there on Amazon, and there's sheets, and there's pillowcases that are made from that fabric that would work.
Yeah,
And
we've been trying to see if anyone had bolts of any of this fabric available that we could get to local sewers.
yeah,
But the best medical grade material for masks would be, and I know this is probably not readily available for many of you, ideally it would be a hypoallergenic pillowcase that's a certified FDA class 1 medical device. I know many of you probably do not have this at home. The next best thing, though, would be just a hypoallergenic case. It does not have to be FDA rated. So the percentage of effectiveness against the coronavirus, the class 1 medical device is 69 to 90% effective against COVID, depending on how you create the mask. The hypoallergenic case is 69% effective against the coronavirus. And then after that, just for general purpose or for public use. So for some of these clinics or area, honestly, any clinic at this point, but for general purposes and for the public or for smaller clinics, cotton linen pillowcases are 60% effective. If they're used as a barrier, they could be more effective with another mask on top of them, or depending on whether or not there's an insert. As Sandra mentioned, there have already been some ladies out there that have played with the insert materials that have made them more effective.
yeah. And we've got some. Let's ask some questions real quick. I'll
Sure.
answer some questions, I should say.
Sure.
And then let's see what we have. Now it's a PUL fabric, and let me see if I can put this up here.
Okay.
Lynn, she's the one that has been making those masks that are probably the closest that I've seen to the N95. And she said that the PUL, am I saying this right? The PUL fabric is waterproof fabric used in diapers, and it's washable.
Mhm.
And then I think, Lynn, you said that you found that. Lynn, tell us again where you found that fabric. I believe I can't find what you said. So if you would post that and Lynn will tell us where she has found that fabric. Um, and then, uh, oh, and here's a good question from Vita. She wanted to know, and this has been a big question too, do we need to pre-wash the 100% cotton or any of the fabric?
So to that, I would say it's not necessary. The reason being, as I said before, anything that's given to the hospital staff are going to use their purview to decide, one, where it's going, and two, who's going to be using it. So anything we give that is a cotton mask or a washable mask is going to go to the hospital and is going to be disinfected by the hospital. So I would say, no, it's not necessary to do that. They obviously have their own products that they use to launder the sheets and towels and any type of cloth or fabric that they use, gowns in the hospital to make them sterile for patients to use. So they would be doing the same for the cloth masks. And I'm sure many of the doctors and nurses have those products available to them, whether they would need to wash the mask in the hospital or to bring it home and wash it outside. They know what product they would need to use to make sure that it's clean and safe.
Okay. I'm just going to go down and answer some questions as we go here because there's quite a few of them. I
I'm
was going
sure.
to take them out of order and stay on topic, but I don't think I can do that. I won't find out where we left off. So let's do it this way. Um, Michelle asked if we could zero in on the pattern we should be using for the best fit. And like I've mentioned before, and you all, some of you out there can answer too. So far, that what I have seen, it's the one that really comes up onto the nose and it really goes around to the face, and it seems to be a little bit of a tighter fit. And like I said, Lynn, what she did for the bridge of the nose, she took tinfoil, and if you can see in her video how she folded and folded, and she wrapped it, and then she folded it in half again, and she inserted it into this area so if you're able to really push it down and the mask really comes up on the face. So far, that's one I've seen the most. And I think we have, Lynn, you might have to make a pattern for us and put it in a PDF form so that, and put it into the making facial face mask group for everyone, if you don't mind. Okay. Let me make sure we get here. And someone said that, Lynn said that elastic is out at whatever it is. It's out, but maybe you can find it on Amazon. Um, so Michelle, I hope that answered your question. And Hobby Lobby and Joanne for sure, as Lori said. And Lori, do you know what type of fabrics they have there? And then, yeah.
Most of the mask patterns I've seen, again, I'm not a sewer, but most of the patterns I've seen, it's usually a 6 by 9 inch square rectangles that they're using, and 7 inches of the 1/4 inch thick elastic for most of the templates, just to kind of give people an idea of the size and the necessary elastic.
Mm-hmm. And Terry, there are a lot of patterns out there. And if you go into the Facebook group I was talking about, making a face mask, folks have already started to post the different patterns in there. And Chris, could you, I don't know what you would like us to repeat, but please let us know what you would like us to repeat. We would certainly do that. And Donna wants to know, what about quilting cotton? I think if it's 100%, it's tightly woven, that would certainly help.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with the fabric is that it's tightly woven. Again, these are being used as a supplement to the surgical and N95 masks. Anything at this point, even if we can give a 60% barrier to the nurses on the front lines, it's still better than nothing. And again, the beauty of having the cloth mask, whether they use it as a barrier for themselves or as a mask, or once there's more masks available, they could pass it on to someone else. It can be disinfected, it can be washed, it can be reused. Just to give you ladies, an example, yesterday I met a nurse who's at Leahy in Burlington, and she's one of 50 nurses on her floor and part of her team. And I gave her 300 masks, and they're going and getting 1 or 2 masks per day. So for that team of nurses, for a full rotation of that shift, 300 disposable masks is going to last them 3, maybe 4 or 5 days. They're probably not even going to get 6 days out of those 300 masks, but 50 cloth masks that they could wash would at least give them some protection. And it's less in quantity, it's reusable, and again, they can, as long as they're being disinfected, they can be reused and even given to other people who could potentially need them at a later date.
Oh, I have Julie Coleman wanted to know, is the PUL, is that the same as a cord fabric like Cellrite has? That, Julie, I don't know. And if anybody out there during the broadcast wants to check that out just to see what their content is, let us know, because I don't know. But I do know this was making me think too that one of the nurses on the news last night, was talking about the different fibers that maybe some of the masks are made out of, and she was saying sometimes it's hard to breathe through them. They're not very, breathable. But I guess to have that tightly woven to keep in or keep out what needs to be kept out, I should say, not in. So
Yeah, and also keep in mind too, for those of you who aren't sending them necessarily with the intent of having them go to a hospital, you could drop some off even at a local senior center or at a local pediatric office or anywhere that there is a shortage. Again, the cotton masks as is are still going to be far more effective. We're not trying to compete with medical grade product. We're just trying to make sure that people have a barrier so they can go in and feel more comfortable doing their jobs, because there are a lot of nurses in, especially where we are in Boston, that are starting to panic. It's the first time in their careers that they've ever experienced this kind of shortage of supply, and the demand is just so great. And there's really, it's a crazy time. There's really no, we're all in this together, and no one's, there's no no one really knows what's happening or how things are supposed to happen. There's no, the communication has been really iffy as far as, when things are happening, what's happening. So it's a scary time for everybody, especially I can only imagine working on the front lines and not knowing, when you're going to get what you need to do your job. So if we can at least, ease some of those fears, and at least, you know, it would be helpful, I think.
I think so too. Yeah. And Lynn had said that fabric.com is where she purchased her fabric. And she also did, and this was, I was in some of my reading had seen this reminder too, even when you're making the mask and all that too. Wash your hands, So thank you for that,
Definitely.
Lynn. You're a star out there. Oh, okay. And then Vita said, yes, she was questioning the pre-washing because of shrinkage. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I don't think that it's a bad idea that if you want to pre-wash it, simply because a lot of our fabrics might have some sizing in there too. So I
Mhm.
don't think that it's a bad idea, because ultimately we know that if it's not thrown away, that it will be washed. So that's a good question. I don't think it would hurt at all.
No, it definitely wouldn't hurt, but once they're finished, don't feel that you need to wash them again before you send them out, because they will be cleaned and sterilized once they arrive where they need to go.
Yeah, yeah. And Sharon said that she would hot wash it before stitching to pre-shrink the fabric. That's
Yeah.
a good idea too.
But
Maybe, yeah, wash the fabrics, even not necessarily make the mask and then wash it. Pre-wash the fabric. Yeah. And Chris did ask too. I just got an email from a nurse friend. She said she's concerned about OSHA. Do you know anything about this?
I don't know. I This is uncharted territory for all of us. Um, I have no idea. I think right now everyone is treating this as a national emergency. It is a national health crisis. I think people are now starting to see the numbers change as the tests are coming back. The tests do take about 5 days to come back positive or negative. So the numbers are starting to jump. And that's one thing that we're seeing. I don't know yet that it's registered as an OSHA violation. I don't know that nurses have, it's even crossed their mind just because they're in it right now. I'm sure after the fact, as with most things, the finger pointing will begin and there will be law offices contacted for people who, suffered injury during this time. I think, right now everyone is just trying to do the best that they can and to stay positive. We really need our doctors. We really need our nurses. They were also saying, especially in the Boston hospitals, it's they also need their cleaners, their cleaning staff is imperative right now, because to turn over the rooms, they have environmental protection cleaners that come in to make sure that the rooms are sterilized. The process of cleaning a room for someone who's tested positive for coronavirus once they move them out isn't a regular cleaning procedure. It's a little more intensive than what they would normally do. So keeping those workers that are parts of those teams to make sure that the rooms are cleaned for turnover is also a concern that's come up today that we've been hearing about. So I think right now everyone's in it to win it and just buckling down. Um, I think anything we can do to provide a safer environment for these workers is going to be a big help. Unfortunately, as far as OSHA is concerned, they're going to have to sort that out after all is said and done.
Yeah.
But I think if we can do our part and help them make sure that they don't burn through all of their supplies right away, that they do, there is protection for people, even in our local clinics. It's so important because for any of us, if we do show symptoms before we even get to a big hospital, those are the people that are going to be coming in contact with us first.
Yeah.
So that would be my answer for that. I
I know
really don't
it's a
know.
tough it's a tough one to answer, but and I don't think I agree with you. I don't think that I don't know how OSHA will come and play with this, but I'm thinking. I mean, none of us have. I have never lived through a pandemic before, and I don't think any of us really have. And so it's all kind of new territory for us. And I think a lot because of the shortage. That, like I said on the news last night, they were saying they run out of these masks. They're telling people you're going to put a bandana on or a scarf. And so I think the hospitals, um, they there are a certain level of mask that they will take in for their staff, and hopefully they have enough of the N95s for the ones that are right there treating those
Yeah.
COVID-19 patients. And I think that there's someone at the front desk, taking information that needs one. Maybe, like we said, it's the person cleaning. So I think that they are in tune. The hospital staff is in tune to what they need. And there are some hospitals that are saying right now, no, we're not going to take those masks,
No.
or we this is what we will receive right now. Um,
I know for Massachusetts, it's been mixed messages. So,
yeah,
for example, the gentleman I met last night is a higher up at Brigham and Women's Hospital. I know many of you have probably seen doctors from there and from, Tufts and Harvard Medical and all these places on the news. Everybody's been there from, Mass General.
right.
I do have a friend of mine at Mass General, and she had said to me, right now they're only accepting the N95 masks. Um, it is really going to depend on the supply. It also depends what unit or department they're working in, what floor they're on, and what the needs are in that area of the hospital. I do believe, I mean, the gentleman from Brigham and Women's was very grateful for the masks that I was able to provide for him. And I do have some more masks that I'm procuring that he's getting a nice supply of as well for the hospital. It really depends on the hospital and what they're dealing with. But I think any of the masks will be helpful. All of the masks will be used. It's really just a question of the supply. I do know today, someone from Mass General Hospital, one of those doctors, was on the news and he said, listen, if we can get more masks, we need them. So I think there is some administrative red tape. I've been kind of contacting people in a guerrilla, delivery system here, if you will, to get the masks directly to the nurses, because a lot of them are able to bring them into the hospitals. The hospitals now, from what I understand, are really going on lockdown. They are only letting in the necessary people that need to be there. So if you are an employee of the hospital and you have a badge, they will let you in. If you are a patient that needs medical care, they will let you in. Anyone else is not allowed to be there at this time. So, getting these even directly to nurses or to higher ups at these clinics or hospitals is going to be really the only way to get the supplies in. And luckily in Massachusetts, a lot of these people are, their friends and neighbors, and they're,
Right.
down the road and down the street, and we're able to connect this way to get the supplies out there. But I mean, even Joe was saying to me last night, he said, I don't know how I'm going to get in the building, and I have a badge.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
because they've been closing off different entrances to the buildings. So, again, I think any and all of it's appreciated. They're putting it wherever it needs to go, and any mask is going to help triage the situation.
Right.
Um,
It's better than
Even
nothing.
a little bit. It's better than nothing.
Yeah. And I've been, I think everyone knows a nurse, or somewhere, or knows somebody who knows a nurse. And I would say reach out to them, because it's hard to, I think, I'm sure that the phone calls are coming into these hospitals under these circumstances. And I reached out to a friend who is a nurse, and I said, what do you guys need? And she said, Sandra, the hospital has already said that, and I was going to read her text here this morning. She said that they have already put out calls for seamstress to sew masks for them. So
Mhm.
see, there is now she didn't say at what level, but she said they're already taking information, or getting contact information for seamstresses who can help make the mask. And this is a huge, big hospital here in Raleigh that's asking for this. And they said they have referred her to the CDC guidelines for fabric recommendations. And the command center is supposed to be contacting me, and I didn't get a call today, but I'm sure they will now, because she's been there a long time. But as soon as I get information, I will filter that out into our group so that you all have that too. So if you have to contact the hospital command center, because honestly, I didn't know, I didn't know who to contact at the hospital. And if you don't either, you can reach out, and I'm sure that the nurses there, or even doctors, or anybody that works there, can help you with that.
For sure. And social media, again, it's such a powerful tool.
Yeah.
As a business owner, and it, to me, my whole network and my whole business is contingent on everybody that I know. And so with this particular circumstance that we're in, I do know a lot of people in my area, and I'm very lucky to have so many wonderful people that I'm connected with. But really, this is about connecting people and supplies, and that's real, and figuring out what people need, and making sure that we can do our best to fill the demand, as much as we can. And
Yeah.
the hospitals have put out messages. They have said, if there are ways to supplement these supply chains, they are very grateful for it. They are accepting this help at this point in time, and anything really that we can do. So as far as I'm concerned, all of us have the ability to connect people that we know together, and to move some of these things maybe even more easily than some of the larger organizations, companies, corporations, even the government. Logistically, where we might be small potatoes, but we can still make a bunch of masks and put them in the mail and get in a car. And like I said, I met Joe in the parking lot last night. He had just come from a construction supply place that was moving, and he got 68 commercial masks
Right.
that they would use in construction to bring to Brigham and Women's Hospital. This is not typical of,
No. No.
anything, but he's like, listen, this is what is being called for. They needed me to get in my car. They needed me to meet you at Dunkin'. They needed me to go to North
Yeah.
Reading and go pick up these masks.
Yeah.
So this is how we're getting things done.
Right.
And it's small, but it's effective, and it's getting things from point A to point B,
Right.
in the quickest way possible.
That's
So
Yeah. And Avita, thank you for that. You put out that Rochelle has a live video and a PDF with a pattern that she created. And if you could post where that is or post it into our group so that we all have access to that, I would love that. And Lynn did say, text me and tell me how to make a PDF, and I will. I sure will. And then let's see, what's going to go through here? Don't want anybody to think we're ignoring them. And Jennifer said, did you see someone is making them from the hepatitis vacuum bags? I did see something like that too. And so definitely, if you've got that information, again, put it into that group, and then everyone can make the decision on, what type of mask they would like to made. And Deborah's gone and said, what kind of elastic? I think it's just regular elastic, and I think the most common width is the 1/4 inch, Deb.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's been mostly 1/4 inch that I've seen on patterns, and about 7 inches long in most cases for each elastic piece.
Okay. And Julie Coleman said twist ties. Yes, I forgot you said that, Julie. They are really great for that nose piece too. So thank you for that. And then Lynn said that Amazon shipment in May. So they're
Yeah.
shipping, I guess, some product in May. And there's a delay. Terry said there's Amazon is delayed. Yeah. And Vita said elastic is definitely out. I checked Amazon, either sold out or delivery. Okay, so here, ladies, here's the thing too. Yeah, okay, that's what I was wondering about that. Jen said not hepatitis. I was wondering about that, but I think I knew what you meant. Um, Here's the thing, ladies, and here's where we really come in, because I bet if you maybe go through your stash somewhere, you have picked up elastic that you were going to use for something and you never did, and you have it stored. And if you have extra and you want to ship it to somebody else, then please put that into the group, because I'm going to tell you that probably I have it's older elastic and I've had it for about 15, 16 years. And my good friend Sharon, she said, Sandra, where's that box? We were making scrunchies, a ton of scrunchies. And I have this box of 1/4 inch elastic that's just sitting there. And so I will be putting that out there. And for some of you that want it, I will ship it for free to you. So, but look, I bet you somewhere in a nook and cranny in your workroom that you have some supplies. So yes, let's look for that. Let's utilize that group to tell us what you can do. How many can you make? Or maybe you have supplies that you can ship to somebody to make. Or use the group to say, hey, I just got a call from the local nursing home and I need X amount. Who can ship them?
Yeah.
Use it. This is the power of our community that we have. And, I don't know that we've ever had to come together for something like this, but it's time that we can. And we have a very, very tight, supportive community out there. And
very talented too.
they're extremely
very talented.
And this, it's going to be good. I mean, I heard somebody say that there's some things that are going to come out of this that no one have ever expected. And what's going to come out of some of this is going to become the new norm. What all that is going to look like, don't know. We don't really know down to the nitty gritty, but it will be revealed. But it's if we can keep the momentum going. I've got that hashtag going, keep the momentum going. We've got to do this. We have to, and it helps with the distractions, and we can get our, teens involved. We can get the young ones involved, and just think, if you've got young ones at home, even if it's your grandchildren or your children, that this, I don't know that some of them know the impact that it's making on our lives right now, and it seems kind of not so good. But this is part of their history, and they're going to grow up one day, and they're going to look back on this time, and they're going to look back how we came together as a group and how we were able to overcome this. And Gina, if you can put that pattern out there, or one of you can put that pattern out there. I put her post up there about the pattern. But anyway, I think that we can make a difference. And I think I'm not too good with history, but was it World War II, I think,
Mhm.
that when all the men were away at war and all the women had to come out of the homes and had to go into the factories and help. And after that, that became the new norm for women to start to go out into the workplace, right? And they all banded together. Well, this is our time too, men and women, to band together for this great cause. And again, there is good that's going to come out of this. And the children now, even just teaching them how to wind that bobbin, even if they're cutting the elastic, they're learning something and they're going to remember it. And they're going to remember how we dealt with it. So I just can't, stress that enough that let's keep looking for the good. Um, so,
Right.
and then let's see, I'm gonna go through a couple more here. And
And
Michelle said she spoke to a nurse in New York City today, and she said that she and her fellow nurses would love these, especially to cover the one mask they are allotted for per day.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's what this is for. That's why we need to do this. I mean, the need, like I said, and I'm here in Boston, the need has been unbelievable. I can't even tell you how many messages I'm still getting. Do you have any left? Do you have any more masks? I just need one, please, one mask. There have been some other nail salons that have been putting together, 5 packs of masks, and they don't even have, very large quantities of them. It's a huge problem, and any box that I've given is obviously being shared amongst many, many nurses. But that's really what this is all about. I just want to throw in really quickly for anyone who's watching as well. I know my dad had said if anyone needs any needles or supplies, he's happy to send them your way. And he's been talking to his colleague at Gross Beckett as well to get some more needles for anyone who needs them to support this. So I know we're also trying to source more materials here this way and to get them out so that we have obviously all of you that know how to sew, and we have
Right.
people locally here as well. Right now, we're just trying to dig up as much supply of raw material as we can, just to make sure that we can, get to work.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
Yeah. And Terry wanted the name of the Facebook group again. The name of the Facebook group is Mask. I'm sorry, Making Mask. No, I created it. I can't remember the name of it. Making Face Mask.
Yeah.
I made it simple so I can remember it. Making Face Mask. It's out there.
So, in regards to just the need of masks, I know many of you have a need locally. We're drowning here in Boston. We definitely need masks. I know I had told Sandra any masks anyone can ship to the shop to Sloan Machinery would be greatly appreciated. Again, I'm driving around. I'm trying to get the masks. We're working on our guerrilla effort to get them out, and I'm going to see if maybe we can coordinate a drop off point in one of the towns for people to come and do a safe, socially distanced pickup for these masks once we get all of them in. Even if it's a weekly pickup and we just keep them coming in, as many as we have. But I know many of you also have places where you are as well, where you have a need for the masks. So, everyone has said the goal here with everything is to flatten the curve. For anyone who's done, multiplication and you've done exponential growth mathematics, you know how quickly things can spiral and grow very, very quickly in a short period of time. But the same also goes for producing these masks. So, one person, even if you make 10 masks and you send 5 of them out and you keep 5 of them and you drop them off locally one day, those 5 masks plus someone else's 5 masks and another 5 masks all of a sudden becomes thousands of
Right.
masks. And, 5 or 10,000 masks in one given place can cover a significant number of healthcare workers, and they're all exceptionally grateful for anything we can do.
Yes. Yeah. And Deborah asks, is cotton draping lining fabric a good choice? And I'm thinking that perhaps it is. Because again, it's cotton and then and it's a little bit tightly woven. And so I would say yes. I know that a chart that I looked at was saying t-shirt fabric, 100% t-shirt fabric is one of a really great fabric as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's up there for sure.
they're still saying elastic not until May from Amazon. Um, yeah. And then Gina said, could you put quilt batting between the layers as a barrier? Um, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that the quilt batting, if it was a lighter weight one, because remember they've got to breathe through it too. I won't, have to. We can't suffocate everyone.
No,
But
we don't want to do
we
that.
do that. But I would think that it would be. I think if it's a thin layer, I think that again, any barrier would be great right now. Vita, let's see. Okay, she's answered. Okay, and then they're asking, I think, about the sateen. We've got a lot of bolts of sateen and hoping that would work. I would think that it would. What's your thought?
Um, I'm not sure. Is it, what's the composition of the material? As you were saying, the reason why the cotton linens and the cotton is such a good fabric is because it's so breathable. And again, people are wearing these on their face. Most of the mask patterns have at least a couple layers of fabric. And if you do include an insert, then there's another layer there as well. They have to be able to breathe while they're working, and multiple layers of course do create a better barrier for the worker, but again we have to make sure whatever we're using is breathable, and again that's going to wash really easily. Cotton, as we know, is a very durable
Yeah,
fabric, and I'm sure whatever chemicals they need to use to sterilize them, the cotton we know will react well to it. I'm not sure. I would say it would depend on the composition of the
yeah.
satine.
Yeah, and it may not. I mean, it is pretty tightly woven, and I'm thinking about it, and I know for myself. Don't laugh, but if I'm painting or doing something, or if I'm here in the workroom and I'm doing something, I will put a piece of the lining over my face just to cover it, and so it could be a little bit heavier than what they would like. So
Um,
I don't know, maybe not. Maybe.
yeah, I would just keep in mind whatever you use. I would even maybe hold it up and try breathing with it in front of your face, doubled over, just to make sure. Because remember, everybody's going to be walking through a hospital, working around people with it,
Yeah.
covering their mouth. So they do, if they're moving and they're walking and talking through it, they need to be able to breathe through it
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, and that was one of the concerns from the nurses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Terry says she's using her quilting scraps, and I think those would be great because the fiber's a little bit thinner, but they're the cotton.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, an English bump. That might. Uh, I'm thinking about that, but Lynn, I think that may work too. Because it'd be a little bit more breathable, I would think. I'd have to take out a piece and see it. It's hard to know. Our law enforcement, yes, and so I want to hang on a second. We've got a lot of questions here. Sorry, girls, we've got a lot here. Give me 1 second, Jamie, because I'm going to go through some of these here real quick, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Sure.
But a lot of comments, and I haven't scrolled down all the way. And
Yeah.
let me go on down here. And yes, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. Chris, you brought up a great point that the law enforcement need it. And I have a list of things. And what I like for you to do as I'm scrolling down here, and we'll get to this point, is I want you all to be thinking about who give us some ideas who you think need these masks. I have nursing homes, gas station attendants who are still out there, mail carriers, the
Mhm.
seniors. A lot of the seniors. My mom lives in a senior community, and these folks they walk every day, and I can see some of them on the porch and some of them on the sidewalk. More than 6 feet away, and they're some of them are widowed, and if I'm thinking if they had a mask, a janitor, family members, grocery stores, the
Yep.
stores that are open. What about those cashiers and the managers that are still in there, the people stocking? If they had a little bit more level of comfort while they're out there serving us.
Mhm.
And so if you guys can think about anybody else while I'm scrolling down answering your questions, please put that in here because we might not even think about some of these folks that would
Mhm.
need a mask that we can produce.
For sure. And again, today a client of mine posted her sister just started chemotherapy. That population, anyone who's undergoing cancer treatment, is incredibly vulnerable where this virus is concerned, especially from the feedback that we've been seeing from Italy. And she her sister started chemo. And when she got to the clinic, they had 0 masks. So think about that.
Right.
You're showing up for a chemotherapy appointment, they don't even have a mask for you, and they're sending you home without a mask. So her husband took to Facebook again,
Yeah.
a great tool for connecting all of us. And he was able to get one N95 mask that someone had lying around the house, probably left over from a paint job or something that someone was doing, and they had it in the garage. But she was able to get a mask. But it's people like that, they can't even go to a store. The paper masks aren't even available in many places for them to get. And I know she's in Virginia, and she was not able to get a mask. So this is becoming a whole United States problem. It's not just a coastal problem. It's really starting to affect everyone everywhere.
Yeah. Look in your garages. I mean, I didn't think about till you said that. I probably have some around here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had posted out and said, really, anyone who owns a nail salon, if you own a painting business, if you work in construction, any of those types of masks, where you're dealing with any type of chemicals or fumes, right now there's just a need for all of those types of masks. And we've been reaching out, and again, shortage of supply is very real. A client of mine she works at a place that does commercial paint, and she does a lot of interior design for homes. And I said, do you know any painters? And she said, everyone's got masks on back order. So
Yeah.
again, and that's just for a paint shop, so you can only imagine for the hospitals.
Yeah. Lynn, maybe you can answer this, or somebody else who's made a mask. Donna wants to know about how long does it take to make a mask once you get past the initial learning curve. Don't think it takes very long, depending on what kind of mask. But if someone could answer, Donna, if you've made one, that would be great. And Lynn said you have to watch if the fabric has chemicals like sunbrella. That would not be good. Good
No,
point. Thank you for that.
no sunbrella.
Yeah, those. And Jill did answer this. She has 15 minutes to make once you get going. Okay, that's not very long in the big scheme of things. And Jerry asked about pre-washing fabrics, and I think that it's not necessary because they're going to sterilize them once they get to the hospital. But you can certainly pre-wash the fabrics if you want to. Um, how about microfabric with interfacing? Uh, Good question. I think I read that in a thread somewhere, and I'm not 100% sure. Again, if you can hold it up to you, if you have somebody hold it up to your face and put it over there, and if it's if it's kind of breathe they can breathe a little bit through it. I don't know if that's a good question because I know the microfabric.
Yeah, I would say, just in regards to fabric in general, if they're light enough weight, tightly knit, and that's why the cotton is so great. We've been seeing reports that for the hospitals, the nurses and doctors are wearing them for their entire shift. So whoever is wearing this mask, bear in mind they're probably going to have it on for at least 8 hours, at a time, even if it's underneath another layer. So as light and as tightly knit as the fabric can be would be probably ideal for that type of circumstance.
Yeah, yeah. And Joanne said another group recommend pre-wash in gentle detergent or vinegar. That's
Yeah.
what I thought too. Thank you for that. And
Mhm.
that something's better than nothing. And then Deborah said, I think that the regulations of all sorts have been relaxed in response to the emergency. Yeah, that's what I've been hearing too. Is in something like this, you just
Yeah.
it's yeah, whatever.
They've definitely relaxed them. I would say right now the goal of hospitals is to conserve the medical grade masks and surgical masks for the severe cases where they have no choice, because of course in operating rooms, if someone needs a surgical procedure, they're not going to relax those rules and regulations for an operating room, and they won't on floors where they're dealing with patients on ventilators. So the people that are working in those areas definitely need the medical grade equipment, whereas people who don't need to be on a ventilator and don't need to be, in a surgical environment are not necessarily in need of that level of protection. It makes sense. Obviously, we want those areas to be as clean as possible, and we want people to be as safe as possible, just because the risk of infection is going to be much higher in those parts of the hospitals.
Yeah, yeah. And Sylvia said maybe, attaching a letter stating that it's not OSHA approved, and maybe have the receiver sign it. And that I had thought about that too, and I think it is probably a great idea. Um, but hopefully that they'll realize that, I'm thinking that maybe because so many people out there are wanting to make the masks, that hopefully they know that if they're made, I guess for liability purposes, that, once you're handing over the mask, um, that, saying that this is not approved by OSHA. But I really don't think that OSHA has anything to do with this, honestly. I think,
We're beyond that.
yeah,
We are so far beyond that. I mean, like I said, I've been distributing just paper masks that we've been able to get a hold of. Obviously, the cloth ones would be better just because they can be reused. But I mean, paper masks from a nail salon typically are not the types of masks that you're going to see in hospitals being used on a regular basis. They've definitely relaxed those standards. Right now, the philosophy is something is better than nothing. So looking at it from that, I don't think anyone's going to come after you and bang down your door and, for liability over a cloth mask. I really think at this point, anyone who gets the mask is just going to be grateful to have it as a resource to use.
yeah. And I'm just a lot of folks. I'm way behind in all these comments. I would say the 1/4 inch elastic. I just don't want to miss any important questions.
We don't
Wrap
want
it up. And she said, and Lynn said that her mask pattern requires 9.5 inch of length of elastic. So yeah, yeah. And Vita said, Jamie said she was able to procure. Is she donating or selling?
No, all of it's donated. We are not selling.
Yeah.
This is not about profits over people. This is people helping people. That's what this is all about. So, people have asked me, I've had people message me offering to purchase the masks. Right now, from the supplies that I've been able to get, I've tried to get them to medical professionals over individual people, but every single mask has been donated to me to pass on to other people. No one is making a dime off of any of this. It's really just to make sure that people have what they need so that everybody can get back to health and that everyone can be safe that needs to be safe.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That's a good question. And Evelyn, we would love for you to help too. And Lynn said contact infectious disease administrator. That's a good thought too. Yes, to find out. Um, and yes, and Sharon, yep, she's thinking that there is a need at the grocery stores and maybe restaurants that are staying open, because a lot of them are. And even if the, I was just at a drive-through. I'm not gonna say the name of the company. I was just at a drive-through yesterday, and the young gentleman, the young teen, had come right up to the car, and I'm thinking, oh, we don't have this distance here, but I think I was worried for him too, and so something like that, because it all shows that, try to protect them a little bit, try to protect us, but to just show that they are mindful, and they're taking this serious too, would be great. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yes, and then Deborah wanted to know. I can't click on your thing, Deborah. Here, hang on a second.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Deborah wanted to know, before you sign off, please tell us what you think about the drapery lining fabric. I know at first I thought might be a great idea, but the more that I think about it, Deb, I think because of the weight of the fabric, and like I said before, I have taken it, wrapped it around my face when I'm doing some heavy duty painting, and I know that I have done a lot of sweating from it, and it has really fogged up my glasses. So I don't know that would be a great fabric for us to use. But and here's a great thing too. If somebody else there wants to try, take some of that lining and make a mask and put it on, and put it right and wear it for an hour or two and tell us what you think. That would be a good test. Some of these fabrics, it's just hard to know which ones will really, really work until we try them. So
For sure.
let's see, Lynn was saying, our expert here, I think cotton or cotton poly blend drapery lining washed would be okay. That's a good point. Maybe wash it first, you know. And Evelyn, this is a good question too, Evelyn. I used inner lining for my daughter's mask today, and she liked it a lot. I was wondering, and I don't know, Jamie, if you know that, the inner lining is almost a grade down from like a bump. It's like a flannel, basically,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be worn, but that if her daughter liked it, that would work. And yes, and that's a good point too. When it's washed, it's even tighter and softer. Good comments, ladies. I appreciate all of you being here. And I'll
Definitely.
be back in her shop tomorrow, and she's going to check her lining supply.
Yeah, for sure. And as far as elastic, I do know there were some shops around here that had some elastic still left. I'm happy to scour, and comb for elastic or things like that as well. So again, feel free to use the group. It was very nice of Sandra to set that up so we can trade resources there. But definitely if we can dig through supplies or comb stores and find things like the 1/4 inch elastic and make sure that those things are getting where they need to go. And just as an aside, if people do have quilting scraps or things like that, any of the fun patterns, if you have them, would probably cheer people up too to see them, so they're not as sterile when they go in, and they're seeing these masks. So I mean, if you do have some fun scraps, it could just be a fun little thing to incorporate, as long as it is in that cotton fabric,
I,
just because this was tough times, and especially in areas, if like I said, I had a lot of pediatric nurses ask for masks, and masks are scary to small children who are walking into these spaces. So I think anything would be useful, but definitely, I mean, if you do have some fun scraps, feel free to be creative, because I think people would appreciate that creativity.
and Debbie, she's actually, I forgot that you're in Spain now, Debbie. And she says she's been making masks for her friends there in Spain because you can't buy them anywhere at the moment. Yeah, yeah. And Deborah wants to know, is there any alternative to elastic? In the old days, they were made with ties. That is, that's a good point. If we run
Mm,
out of elastic, we can certainly turn to
make
ties.
ties. Yeah.
Great point, Deb. Yeah, I don't know offhand. And again, if you think of something out there, put it in the group, um, because as creative as we can be when we're running out of supplies,
Hmm.
wonderful. And yeah,
Definitely.
Laura said 1.5 millimeter elastic cord works well, and it won't be available in a few minutes, but it's available right now. Oh my gosh.
Sure.
How about covered hair elastic? Oh yeah, maybe taking you're talking about the bands we put around our hair. Sometimes they're thin, that would go, yes. Um, and Linda Winston said, you know us very well.
Mhm.
And then and then Vita said, I've looked through my nooks and crannies for elastic. Now I'm going to put out a message on Nextdoor. Exactly. I mean, how many folks get out there and they start that they're going to be crafting and doing things and they're going to purchase and then they don't and it gets stuffed away. That is a good point, Vita. Thank you for that.
For sure.
And Lynn said, we are one America. We sure are. And
We are.
we're one globe at this point too.
I have to say, I'm was so happy that you allowed me to come and speak to everyone over this podcast, just because this is something that's affecting everyone, and I know this community is very tight knit, and I'm very grateful for everyone that's really stepping up to the plate. This is one of the few things that we can all do while we're quarantined and locked down,
Yeah,
and we're still practicing social distancing, we're still
yeah.
being responsible citizens, but we're still able to help in this small way, and that's really huge. So I'm very grateful to all of you, and definitely I know anyone on my end that does receive a mask will be extremely grateful. We need all the help we can get, and I'm sure for those of you at home, you have places near you as well that need the help too. But definitely, everyone that I met yesterday and that I'm continuing to meet in this process is extremely grateful for anything that they can get at this point. So we are in this together.
Yeah. Give me a few more minutes there, Jamie, if you can hang out. I think we've got just a couple more things to go through here that
Sure,
I wanted to make sure we didn't miss anything. I know we can do it afterwards, but there might be a question for you. So if you don't mind,
sure, sure.
everyone's been so gracious just hanging in there with us today.
I know.
It's like we should have had coffee and tea or I don't know. Anyway, just
I usually do coffee in the store. We do coffee talk here.
we should have coffee. Oh my God. Anyway, Jill brought up a good point too. Double stick tape, a piece of pipe cleaner in the nose area. I think that would work too. And how many of us have from Rolly? We've got the little what is it? It's the wire tape and it's kind of double stick. I have some of that, I believe, in here, and we can put that in there too. So we've got a lot of supplies other people don't have out there. And let's see, Lynn said, nurses and doctors are begging for them any price, minor free. What is the price of one life? So true. So true. We need elastic. Yeah. And Gina, you have a link out there, and I don't know what it is, but you all can click on it. And Sylvia says, excited to be a part of this. I am too, and I'm glad that you all are in it here with us. It means a lot. And Deb, hang on a second. Let's see. Deb said checking out fabricstores.com for elastic. Yes. Again, if you find it, either buy it and help distribute it, or go ahead and you know let us know where it's at so we can purchase it. Does the elastic have to be white? No, I don't. Well, no, but if they, I think elastic might not even fade if it's bleached, if it's poly, but or maybe I don't know. But they're gonna wash it and sanitize it, so I don't think it matters. Look at you, Deb, and she said just ordered 65 yards from onlinefabricstore.com. Thank you very much.
Yay.
Okay, yay. And Janice Lint said, I read today that using inner lining that as that inner layer. Okay, perfect. Thank you, thank you. And I was thinking that that would work because it's a thin flannel. It creates a nice banner. People are thanking Deborah. Poly cotton, cotton poly sateen. Not sure. I haven't used that, but
we'll have to test it.
and what do you suggest for the insert? And Lynn, if you will answer that because you had some of that fabric, and maybe like we said, that our inner lining, and boy, we know we have inner lining hanging around here. Cotton batting, she may try some for breathability, and that's the best thing. Try it, make one, and wear it, and see how it feels to you. Okay.
I know with some of the 3D masks that they're printing, they're even using just cotton rounds in the masks for any 3D printed masks. So any type of cotton that can be put on the inside, the batting might just work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah. And okay, here they're going to tell us who they think pharmacists. Absolutely, absolutely.
yes.
These are the folks that even though they're not in hospitals, like I said, the clerks, the cashiers, and all, they're still front line almost. They're out there for us. Sharon said, Jill, I think the pipe cleaner needs to be encased in the mask, not just stuck on. Good point, Sharon.
Yeah.
Some of the patterns have different sizes. What is the best size to use? I'm thinking right now, adult size. I'm not really sure if you have a male in the house, kind of measure their face and measure yours. And even, we're talking about the children too. A lot of the cancer units might need them for children or even your family. If you have uh, children and, you might want to check, make one for a child and measure it and let us know. And Jennifer, there are a lot of them out there, and I really like the one that Lynn has. But there are quite a few, and I like them if you as tight as you can get them around the nose and the face. I think are going to work best. And Sylvia said 15 minutes. Oh, really? CBS News has a report starting about homemade masks coming on soon. Okay, we're probably missing it. We'll have to go back and watch it on YouTube. 15 minutes. Mine takes about 15, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 12 minutes. Um,
Yeah, no, everyone has started really to talk about getting the homemade masks and mobilizing people at home. I definitely, this community was one I thought of because, you know, all of you are professional sewers, all of you are very experienced, and these masks wherever they go, especially to the medical workers or anyone that needs them that's going to be washing and reusing it, they need durability, and that's really the key. And I think the masks that are going to be the most appreciated are the ones that have the craftsmanship put in, and the little extra details and attention. Most of the masks that I've seen, I love that we're talking about putting in wire and things to really fit over the nose. I know a lot of the homemade masks that people are making don't have features like that. I know they'll be very appreciated, just to have things like that for a better fit on these masks. So those kinds of things are really going to make the difference, I think, for people that are using them within a hospital environment.
yeah. And like I said, they fit tightly, and yeah, I keep going like this, but uh,
It's true, though.
it
It's
is,
very true.
yeah. It's as much as they can to tighten it around their face. And I know everybody has a different size face to seal as much as possible. And I hope I'm saying this right, Rochelle. If you're on here, please put your link because everyone is highly recommending your video and your PDF. And not sure that she's here in real time, but good. And I'll join them. Good, and try to put it in there. I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh, and she says she's here. So please, oh yes, you know what? I think I have seen your mask out there today. As a matter of fact, now that I see your profile picture, please link that in there for all, okay? Um,
Yes.
and Margaret Davison, she says, I will help and we will need your help. Um, and so everyone, go ahead and read these comments because there's still a lot, and I'm not going to, afraid I'm not going to get to all of them because we're going to want to close out of here real soon, but I do appreciate you being here. So I'm just going to click through some of these. Okay, and the ABC is just about the severe shortage of. Well, we're fixing to help with that.
Sure. Definitely. I know I'm gonna try to coordinate some type of drop off next week. I would love to be able to get some masks up this way. I know, like I said, the need is great everywhere, but definitely, anything I can get my hands on, I would greatly, greatly appreciate. I already have a wait list for these masks. There's a huge demand for them. So as soon as I can get them um, up this way, that would be amazing. But definitely feel free, everyone, check in with your local clinics as well. Um, like I said, everyone is in need of these masks.
Yeah, grow green ribbon. Um, okay, so if you all, we have a bias tape. Yeah. A lot of questions here, a lot of response, and I'm sorry, we're probably going to have to pop out of here because uh, we've been here for about an hour and a half. Thank you so much. It doesn't seem that until I just looked at the clock. But everyone, again, if there's anything here that you can answer for other people, and again, join that. I'll go on here afterwards and accept people, into the group if I have to do that. And but yes, and good point, and that's what we're going to end with today is how shipping can be handled. So all of you seem like you're going to be helping and share your patterns, share your supplies. The goal here is to flatten the curve. But Jamie, can you please put in here into the group uh,
Yes,
the address where we can ship to
sure.
and all that information? It'd be best if you just post that and look for Jamie's post on that.
Mhm.
And then also, if again, contact, you've had a lot of good suggestions in here. If any of you across America find out that there is a need,
Yeah.
there is a need, but if there's a really extreme need, please put it out there and you all just jump in and say, I can help, or let's do that. Let's make this happen. And like I said, if you want to help, put it out there. If you have supplies, put it out there. If there's a immediate need in your area, and then we will be making some to definitely send up to Boston. And again, if you're in an area like we're here in Raleigh, we have
Yeah,
a lot, everywhere has a lot of big hospitals, and we're going to be.
sure.
I'm sure after this broadcast go out, that we're going to hear more from these groups, these hospitals that need us.
I would also suggest too, just as an aside, if any of you are a part of your town website or a part of your town Facebook group, put a message out. As many of you said, or as you said, Sandra, people buy crafting supplies that they don't even use. There are probably things like in people's homes that they don't even remember that they purchased.
Yeah.
Um, Use the community. We've been really successful in doing that and connecting people, and that's how I've been able to do these drop offs and figure out who needs what. But definitely ask friends and neighbors, put it out on social media or on Instagram, and also feel free to, like take pictures and post them out too. This is one of those great things that's, it's going to be a morale booster for many people as well, just to see it and to see these go out. But definitely people right now, I think, are really all about helping other people. And like I said, if one thing we can do is even be a conduit to get something that we don't know how to use to someone who can use it, it's, people are going out of their way to do that. And of course, listen, we're dropping stuff off at ends of driveways. We're going to parking lots and dropping things out or putting them 6 feet from the car, so people can get them and still be safe and distance. And even if you're wearing gloves to do the drop offs or, a mask yourself,
Mhm.
we're all being mindful and we're all in this together. So I would say definitely reach out within your community for supplies. Obviously, we can clean out all the stores, but if we can see who has certain
Good.
things at home, definitely that's huge. And, again, greatly, greatly appreciated. I know, at least for sending things up this way, the nurses I've been in touch with are everywhere from the Boston hospitals all the way up to southern New Hampshire. I've gotten requests for it as well. I live right on the border of New Hampshire, so this entire area, like Boston and Metro West and North and southern New Hampshire, everybody's been requesting these masks.
Yeah.
So we're doing our best here. But I'll post my dad's shop information. It's in Salem, New Hampshire, for Sloan Machinery, and definitely greatly appreciated. And also see who needs them in your community too, because you might even be able to leave a few in your mailbox for pickup from just
That's right.
friends and neighbors, or nurses that are coming off their shift that are just grateful to know that they can stop by your house and just pick one up out of the mailbox.
That's right. We just never know. You just
Yeah.
never know.
Mhm.
And Deborah said thank you and thank you. So
Yeah.
everyone, again, thank you.
Yeah.
I am so proud to be a part.
Yeah.
It warms my heart. I get emotional.
Yeah. No, this
But
is
it just warms my heart to see so many of you come forward and really, yeah. Somebody put Rosie the Riveter. That's who we are. We're like, we're ready to go.
I'm applauding everyone because this is huge. And as you said, this is like it's about lives right now. These masks,
Right.
it seems so small, but if we can prevent one nurse from getting sick, or one doctor from getting sick, or one healthcare professional, or one patient from coming in contact with something that they're at risk for contracting this virus, if we can flatten the curve in that way and just keep people as healthy as possible, that's huge. Because all of us, I mean, the scary part about all of this is that all of us have the power to do something, but if we're all laid up, nobody can do anything.
Right.
And that's, without our health, none of us are going to be able to get out and to get back to business as usual, to life as normal as it could be. So that's why this is such a huge thing. Even though it seems like one small little mask, it really could save a life.
It could. Yeah. And Vita, you're so welcome, and thank you for being here. It's great to have this platform. When I started being in the virtual space, I was telling Jamie back in 2014, and you just never know where it's going to take you, and so I am just thrilled that I can bring all this to you. And if you guys want to come back, um, I'll have a group, and if you guys are feeling down, and I know a lot of people out there are affected in so many ways. Some people are angry, some people feel depressed, some people are just worried. And at some point, if you're sewing and you're doing things, and you guys need to say, you know what, I need you all to boost me up today. Let me know, because as long as I have the internet, I can come into our group and we can come in together and we can chat and we can give positive reinforcement and we can cheer each other on. And that's what we need. That's what we're doing for others. And that's what we can do for one another too. So if you're feeling down and you need to cheer up, you're not alone. You are not alone. So reach out and we can come in together as a group. Even we do Facebook and get us all in to get to know each other a little bit better. So yeah, don't feel that you're going to be sewing those masks all by yourselves. We'll be there with you, and we can come in and chat. Maybe we'll have a chat day when we're just all coming on Facebook and we're away in the background sewing. Like Sharon said, start those machines and we can sew, and we don't have to be in front of the camera. We can yell, "Hey, ladies, look what I have!" I have the hippopotamus fabric. What do you have? I don't know, but
Zoom would be good for that if you want to do
yes,
group sewing sessions. So
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
that's available. And I was going to say, I'm hoping, once these masks go, we can get some pictures
yeah.
to send back to post to all of you. I know many of the nurses are extremely grateful for anything that they get, and I'm sure they'd be happy to rock a mask and repost it, and
Love it.
and so we could see where it winds up. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a cool thing too, to see where these are going to wind up.
That's right. I know. We should. Some of you guys put little notes in. If you want, that would be great too. You know what? Attach little notes. This is made by, or find me on Facebook and show me that you've got this. I don't know. This could be a little cute little movement, y'all.
It could
That's a
be a
good
fun
point.
thing. You could
Yes.
say made by, and put
Yes.
that in there, and
Yes.
they can find you on Facebook or Instagram.
And you know what? If that's a good point. If you want to post, you know what? I like that. Let's come up with a hashtag. Yeah, I love that. Yes, you come up with. Let's do it. And how about we do this? Make it the hashtag. Um, what the group is, so that they can come in and show us their masks. Okay, so the hashtag is making face mask, and then put that hashtag on there because it's easy, and then see if they'll join the group and show us. I love that idea. So yes, there's the hashtag right there, making face masks, and then have them put the notes, let them join us, and we will spread the word out. So um, great. No, I didn't see that the fashion houses are donating masks to New York City. Christian Serrano, I'm not good with these new people out there. I used to be let them know he wants to help too. What?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes. So, yep, that's right. Mask America. Oh, I like that. Mask.
Yeah,
I,
that's a good hashtag.
I like that.
Mask
Mask America.
America.
There you go. There's the hashtag. We've got it. Okay, everybody, put that Mask America on all of your or in your attach them somehow. Sew them on, then we can rip them off, but let them know who's made it. All right, everyone. We are going to hop out of here. Again, thank you all so much.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you for your time this evening, and thank you for everything that you're going to be doing to help. This is huge. It's little, but it's huge.
That's right. Okay, everyone. Good night.